So in all my recent matches, this item is almost getting skipped at least 99% of the time, even when it shouldn't, and that leads to a very predictable loss. It's kind of hard to believe that once this item being a core and must buy for a lot of heroes is now kind of out of spotlight since 7.33, and it's none other than Armlet. Before getting into details and tips, let me give you a very quick item overview. So for a base price of 2500 gold, this item is one of the most cost-effective items mid-game, giving you a total of 550 HP when activated, 75 damage for STR heroes, 6 armor, 7.5 HP regen, and 25 attack speed. That is a very good all-rounded package for early game fights, and that is why you would buy it, to fight. Now, this takes 0.6 seconds to toggle on for full effects, more on that later, and comes with a HP drain of 45 per second, which is why some sort of sustain is recommended to be combined with this item. Now in terms of raw damage, mid-game this is one of the most, if not the highest spike any item can give you in terms of raw damage. 75 damage is like bonkers, it's like equal to nullifier. It's more than a DSO, it's more than any other raw damage item you can get, apart from I think Daedalus. And this makes it like very good for fighting. The spotlight of this item, Armlet Toggle, was basically an early game ages in itself because it allowed you to dodge and survive so much burst damage, so many hits, and so many close escapes. Now, one thing to note is toggle does not interrupt channel, so you can always toggle it on in middle of a TP. Now on toggling, Armlet provides you the stats in 6 ticks of 0.1 second each, and each tick granting you almost 90 HP. This is very good to keep in mind when doing Armlet toggle, because if you're planning to dodge some projectile or some burst damage that is coming your way, toggling Armlet on and off just before it hits you will give you only 92 HP. If the damage is more than that, then you would need a higher window and activate Armlet earlier to actually dodge it successfully. Lastly, a special mention for CK, illusions retain the Armlet buff even if you later switch it off. That is, a CK can turn the Armlet on, ulti, and then turn his Armlet off, but the illusions will still retain the Armlet buff, which is huge for the survivability. Now, for Armlet toggling, there are a lot of custom arcades where one can go, but to start from the basics, you can always go to the demo mode and toggle Armlet on and off at the enemy tower. If you are able to survive it for more than 10 seconds, then you're pretty much good to go to next level. Now, moving on to current standing of Armlet in today's meta. Armlet has a lot of heavy competition, especially with Radiance and Eco Saber. And what I've seen is a lot of people blindly build either of them, but not realize that hey, it's actually an Armlet game, and an Armlet game will help me get MMR quickly, because a lot of times the game is decided by your itemization itself. Let's have a closer look on when you should get each of these 3 items. A Radiance or a Battle Fury is ideal if your draft has late game potential. Your draft might have defensive heroes, or the enemy draft might not have a lot of early gamers or snowballers, or even if they have, your team has sufficient saves that they can avoid team fights or defend towers. In that case, it is more about you getting the farm and out farming their carry. Then your game basically becomes that while your team is turtling or playing defensive, you farm, you out farm their carry, and once you join the team fights, the momentum swings in your favor and you're able to end the game. So all in all, Radiance and Battle Fury are good to go if you see the game going beyond 40 minutes. Now for Echo Saber / Harpoon, this is also brought when the game is expected to go late, but when you see that enemy has some slight snowball potential, or if your team does not have sufficient saves or defensive heroes at all, such that if a clash happens, your team ends up being wiped out, then that is a disadvantage that you cannot outfarm. Then you need to go into the fight with something and help your team win the fight, or at least get some pickoffs. The other condition is if the enemy has elusive heroes, in the sense that they can simply escape or run away in the middle of fight, then you need some sort of gap closer to actually pick them off and get the kill. In this case, Eco or Harpoon is definitely a must build. Now, when you see that the enemy is all out early game, or a lineup which wants to end aggressively, if you see that enemy has Chen, Beastmaster, Lycan, Klings, Pugna, Leshak, or any combination of 2 to 3 of these heroes, they are simply going to fight early. In this case, a lot of farm is unsafe. They can pick people off very quickly. They can push towers very quickly. In this case, if your team cannot fight back, you need to join the fights, and Armlet provides you the necessary spike that you need, because frankly it gives you more HP than 2 vitality booster, almost a damage that is equal to nullifier. That spike allows you to actually fight back those early fights, and as you fight back, more and more farm becomes safe to you, and as the clock ticks by, your chances of winning also increase exponentially. So if you see that the enemy game lineup is all early and you absolutely need to hold your ground, you should get an Armlet. The other side of the coin is, if your team has a lot of early game potential and absolutely needs to end early, then an Armlet will help you join the fight and put the necessary pressure onto the enemy team. On which heroes should consider getting Armlet, I'll put up a quick tier list as well. Majority of strength heroes can get an Armlet, but on non-strength heroes like agility and intelligence, Armlet is an easy pass. For universal heroes, it is slightly debatable because the damage boost is not as much, but it is still a good item overall for them. And I can see some heroes actually using it or making good use of it. So that's about it. A super quick overview on Armlet. Leave a like if you like this, comment if you want something else, or if I missed a hero, and definitely subscribe for more. Thanks.